So I was going to show you really quick. This is the little flat keychain that I make. It is started with a 3 plate and goes to a 6 plate, and this is a snake belly 6. So it's an interesting breeding pattern. There's 3 strands in this, and the braid actually starts at the top. So to start with, you need 3 strips, and the strips are about 19 inches long, maybe 20 inches long, and they are about 5.5 millimeters, 5 millimeters wide, about 1/4 of an inch. First step is beveling, and I use this is part of a hotel room card and a scalpel. You can use other razor blades. So to start with, you want to tie a weaver's knot. So you take the leather and make a loop. Then you reach through the loop. And you tighten it on. And the easy way to do this, you find the flesh side of the leather. You set the blade on the edge and index it with your thumbnail against the card. And peel off a bevel. So now this side is beveled. And this is a quick release version of the weaver's knot. And it's a nice knot to use for this. Use your thumb as an index. And peel off another strip. So that strip is beveled on both sides. And you got to do that with all 3 strips. So you're folding the flesh side out is the easiest way to do this. And I don't know how many times you've tried to bevel leather, but this is the easiest way I know how to bevel consistently. And it helps the leather lay flatter when you're beveling a flat braid or a round braid if you bevel the edges. That piece is beveled. Now for the third and final piece to be beveled. And if you don't bevel it quite enough, you can always go back and bevel it a little bit more. This is a piece of whipmaker cord. It's very thin, paracord-like material. It's very tough. And it's a scrap of material that's tied to a steel ring on a post. And that gives you a starting point that's consistent. And there's the third piece. Now I don't need the razor for a minute. You take these 3 strips that are all beveled. Now this is a glass with some RO water, reverse osmosis water. You can use regular water. I just don't like the fact there might be calcium and other things in it that might, or even things like iron might be in your water in your local area. And you don't have to soak it. You just kind of want to let it get wet. So just like about that much is fine. And you want to get the ends all together. And then what you do is you take 3 fingers like this and pinch it. This time instead of tying a weaver's knot, I'm going to tie a half hitch, similar, but just across the 3 strands. And that way you can braid them fairly rapidly with a standard 3-plate. So just a standard 3 braid that almost everybody knows how to do. And then I'm going to check to see about where it needs to be and pull the quick release. Now this is a buckle that's used for hooking chain together. This one happens to be stainless. With a little punch. And you want 2 strands here and 1 on the inside, 2 strands here and 1 on the inside. This one's coming over the top, this one's going underneath. That allows you to do this. Now you can go under 1 and over on the left side. And then on the right side you go over 1 and under 2 in this case. Then under 1 and over 1 and under 2, under 1 and over 1 and under 2, but it's under 1 and over and over one and under. So it's kind of different than a regular braid. In that you're not as challenged trying to keep it straight. It's a little different because you're not doing the same thing on both sides. But it's still a pretty straightforward braiding pattern. And what do you do when you get down towards the end? Well, one thing you can do is you can bleed knot off the pairs. Another thing you can do is you can pull it up and through, but to bleed knot it, there's a couple different things you can do. One, you can cut a cutting wet leather. So you can cut it down to a point, which helps. Now this is a scalpel. If you're going to do this, you have to be constantly aware where this thing is. But what you want to do is put this in the center of that strand. And push down and through. Then you want to use your fid to open up the split. And you poke the one behind up through. It's very hard to hold all this stuff with the camera, but then what you do once you have the one up and through, then you punch a hole in the top strand. Oops. Punch a hole in the top strand. Use the fid to open it up. And the bottom piece the bottom piece will pop through. So those two pieces aren't going anywhere. So in this case, this is the top strand. If you take the top strand and put through it, you ever notice the dogs only want to bark when you're doing something that you don't want them barking during? take your X-Acto knife or your scalpel. And you split the thing open from the back side. And that will finish off the braid. Some people will ask, how do you get the braid to lay so nice and smooth? And so here's one trick. I don't know if you can see, it's kind of bumpy. And now it's nice and smooth. So that'll lay it all down nice and flat. Then up here around the loop at the top, kind of have to work that with your fingers a little bit. Sorry for the tripod. You can take a little bit of beeswax and tallow or braiding compound and just give it a little light coating. And it will give it a little bit of water protection or hand and oil protection. Shout out to the guys at Colorado Leather Balm. It works really well for this small stuff like this as well. This happens to be a little bit of tallow mixed with beef wax. Anyway, you just work with your fingers a little bit. And then you have to let the leather dry slowly and rub it on in. But there you go. That's how to do a snake belly bracelet. Snake belly braid bracelet pattern as a keychain. Now if you have a keychain, you can run this loop through the keychain and you end up with this kind of handsome 3 across and 6 down on a keychain or as a decoration. It's all sorts of fun things you can do with this. So go ahead and play away. If anybody wants to see this done in paracord, I can do it in paracord if they'd like. So I'm going to upload this and I'll try to stop bumping the video. You guys, if you want one of these, you don't want to braid it, you're welcome to visit me at pocketsnakes.com. That's pocketsnakes.com. This video will be on my YouTube channel. If I can get to 100 people following me, I can grab the name Pocket Snakes, but for right now I've got the domain Pocket Snake without the S going to my YouTube channel, and I'll upload it there as well. Thank you.